Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. Top story this week, ACCW presents Level Up CAC. The Create a Competitor Tournament, the featured matches, everything surrounding that event. Let me go through it. I'll start with the tournament, and then I'll go to the featured matches. 28 players played in Saturday's tournament. It was an open division tournament, so all competitors were legal, subject to 2020 vision, except for the competitors on the Hall of Fame list. Those are competitors that have been used to win past Create a Competitor tournaments. They played 5 bullet rounds, and then after those bullet rounds, they cut to a top 12. 4 players received a bye into the quarterfinal round. The remaining 8 players paired up into 4 singles matches. The winners joined the 4 players with byes in the quarterfinal round. No stipulations, as far as I can tell, in that opening round of 12. In the quarterfinal round and the semifinal round, there were stipulations. Those stipulations were randomly chosen by a spin of the wheel. Now, Chris Tapley, going in to the top 8, going into the quarterfinal round, was undefeated. So he was able to remove 2 of the listed stipulations from the wheel. Every stipulation on the wheel was listed twice, so he could eliminate 1 stipulation completely or reduce 2 stipulations from 2 possibilities to 1 possibility on the wheel spin. He chose 2 different ones. They spun the wheel for the quarterfinal round. Steel chair was the stipulation for the quarterfinal round. They then spun the wheel for the semifinal round. Ring of Fire was the stipulation for the semifinal round. There had been talk about there being special guest referee matches. That didn't happen. There had been some talk about essentially doing a different stipulation per match in the top cut. That didn't happen either. I'll go into a little bit of why that didn't happen a little bit later. In the quarterfinal round, again, remember, all of these matches are steel chair matches. We had Chris Tapley as Slime Girl take on Grim Librarian as the new version of the Grim Librarian. That was the first quarterfinal match. Second match, Robert the Brain Dunn as El Cerebro versus Hold the Line Harry as Fire Flash. Third match, Rambo Apocalypse as Rainbow Girl, the version whose gimmick gives Rainbow Girl +2 to the roll. He took on Simple Chuck, playing as newly released competitor Simple Chuck. And then Johnny Correa, playing as Unique, took on the Devil's Reject GPS, playing as the Devil's Reject GPS. It's been a while since I've seen him. Nice to see him back. The winners, the Grim Librarian, Robert the Brain Dunn, Rambo Apocalypse, and Johnny Correa. So in the semifinal round, we had in the first match, Ring of Fire, the Grim Librarian versus Bob Dunn. And in the second match, also Ring of Fire, Rambo Apocalypse versus Johnny Correa. The winners going on to the finals, a main event stipulation finals, Grim Librarian and Johnny Correa. This was a well-fought match. It went all the way to Crowd Meter 3. The winner at Crowd Meter 3, winning the ability to create a competitor in Supershow the Game, Johnny Correa. Congratulations to Johnny Correa for winning the ability to create a competitor in Supershow the Game. I have not yet seen an announcement regarding who he will make. I'm looking forward to that potential announcement. There were also featured matches as part of the Level Up festivities. I'm going to go through these in no particular order. The first featured match I have was for the LFF Tornado Tag Team Championship. The challenger, Simple Chuck, playing his final form, Dick Thunderlips. The champion, Nick Nemesis, champion with Kitty Corn. This match goes to Crowd Meter 1. The winner at Crowd Meter 1, rolling at 21, new LFF Tornado Tag Team Champion, Simple Chuck. Congratulations to Simple Chuck for winning the LFF Tornado Tag Team Championship. Normally a 21 would be enough to put it away. The champion did have the ability to roll a 22, but was not able to, so we have a new LFF Tornado Tag Team Champion. Next featured match I have for the Deep South Tag Team Championship. The challengers, Vampire. The team of Everyone's Enemy Joel Williams, playing as Draculina and Calliope, and Matthias, son of Zeus, playing as La Phoenix, the Super Lucha version. This was Vampire, V-A-M-P-Y-R-E, as in Funeral Pyre, the Fire representing La Phoenix, the Vampire representing Draculina and Calliope. Those were your challengers. Your champions, Grim Thoughts. Robert the Brain Dunn, playing as Steelwool, the Grim Librarian playing as the new version of the Grim Librarian. This match goes to Crowd Meter 2. The winners at Crowd Meter 2, still champions, Grim Thoughts. Congratulations to Grim Thoughts for a successful defense. The final featured match I have from the Level Up CAC was for the LFF Old School Championship. The challenger, Hunk Homeland, appearing here as Hollywood Hunk Homeland, but playing as the Unreal American Hunk Homeland, took on champion, the High Roller, maybe better known to some of you as Dr. Pollywood, playing as the High Roller champion with the High Roller. The match goes to Crowd Meter 1. The winner, still champion, the High Roller. Congratulations to the High Roller for a successful defense. This was just not Hunk Homeland's night. The dice were not in his favor the entire match, and he just could not overcome the dice working against him. Those were all of the featured matches from the Level Up CAC. There was supposed to be an LFF Hardcore Championship match. From what I understand, they were not able to play that due to time. It'll be rescheduled. There was also supposed to be a defense of the Hollywood Heavyweight Championship from Big Picture Premium. The defense did not happen because of essentially the elephant in the room. So let me talk about this right now. The match didn't happen because Practice Sight was the challenger. Practice Sight was not able to be at the Level Up Create a Competitor event. Why? It had been out there for a while that Alex Kane, apparently the Suplex Assassin, was going to be the special guest at ACCW Presents the Level Up CAC. He was the special guest. He did show up. Steve Resk, owner, CEO of SRG Universe, flew down, was there at Level Up Games for the CAC. Before the event happened, apparently there was a video taken for a promo of sorts between Alex Kane and Steve Resk. And apparently, and this is what I've been told from multiple sources, I have not seen any video, I'm just going from what these sources have told me. During this promo, Alex Kane suplexes Steve Resk through a table. The owner of Level Up Games did not know this was going to happen. He did not know that there was going to be somebody suplexed through a table. The table was also, from what I understand, a table that belonged to the store. It was not a table that was brought in for the purpose of having someone go through it. It was the store's own table. And so, this is what I've been told. Steve Resk and Jeremy Steigerwald were banned from the store at least for the day, possibly permanently. I'm also being told that the store is no longer going to carry Supershow product, that they're going to effectively be cutting off their relationship with Supershow, and potentially the ACCW local Atlanta playgroup won't be welcome to have events in the store. I don't know if that's going to stick, but that's what I'm being told right now. This is probably one of the worst things I think has ever happened with a local playgroup with an event like this. Now, I don't know how it came to be that Alex Kane suplexed Steve Resk through a table. If this was Alex Kane's idea, or if he went into business for himself, as they say, if he did this and Steve and nobody else knew, Alex Kane has terrible judgment. Why in the world you would think you can destroy property that doesn't belong to you, I don't know. Furthermore, you have to imagine that the store owner potentially is liable if somebody gets hurt in his store. And as they say in wrestling, this ain't ballet. People get hurt having wrestling moves performed on them when they're trained to be professional wrestlers. To my knowledge, Steve Resk isn't trained to be a professional wrestler. Does he know how to go through a table and protect himself? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I totally understand that the store owner doesn't want to put himself at risk. I'm sure he also doesn't want to see a table that he has get destroyed. And maybe SRG Universe is going to pay for a replacement table. I don't know. But do you want to be waiting around as the store owner to get that money? There's all kinds of concerns that come up with. So if this was Alex Kane's idea, awful. I did see General Manager Calais post something about banning Alex Kane from future events. That is probably going to happen similar to what happened at Grand Gathering 1, the original, with Sami Callihan throwing something and hitting John Calais in the face with it. The other possibility, and this is a worse possibility, is that Steve Resk told Alex Kane to suplex him through the table. If Steve Resk told Alex Kane to suplex him through a table without clearing it with anybody at the store, this is probably the dumbest thing Steve Resk has done. And it's a seriously stupid thing. How serious? If Steve Resk didn't own the company, Steve Resk should probably get fired from the company for doing something like this. This is that level of stupid. Why? Okay, number one, the fallout for this is probably that ACCW has lost their store. The relationship that people like Jeremy Steigerwald and Jonathan Thew have built up with Level Up Games on their own, with them being the primary drivers, getting the store to start carrying Super Show product, getting to be able to run a booth at Level Up Games Con not even a month ago and promote Super Show, that relationship potentially destroyed. It takes away sales from Super Show the Game, because now Super Show the Game's not going to be sold in that store. Going back to ACCW losing the venue, not only are you losing the ability to run events and sell product, now ACCW has to go out and try to find a new store and build a new relationship from scratch. This is the second time ACCW has had to find a new venue. The original store they ran at closed, went out of business, ceased operation. Level Up Games is the second game store that ACCW built a relationship with. Now, it's the same actual location, but it's different ownership. It's a completely different store for those purposes. As someone who has helped build my own local playgroup, BCW, finding a venue is hard. We tried a lot of places before we found Pixel Palace Games. And there's positives and negatives. Pixel Palace Games is in a decent location, but it's not the kind of location that's going to draw in people that don't know it's there. It's not one of the bigger game stores or well-known game stores in the city. Now, they will carry Super Show product, and that's one of the positives. But it's hard to cultivate a relationship with a store. Okay? We've seen the relationship with Recess sour a bit over the years. That's the store for the Cleveland Playgroup. There's a reason they don't run Create a Competitor tournaments annually. There hasn't been a Marktoberfest for a Create a Competitor in a while. While they run at Rip and Ship in New York, they used to run at a store in Fire of Dice. Now, that store still exists, but the relationship is gone. A lot of people might say that that's good. I'm not going to get into the whole controversy surrounding a store of Fire and Dice, but it's still a relationship that had existed for a long time. I mean, the Red Pill, a Supershow the Game competitor, that was one of the two competitors from the Alien Invader versus the Red Pill box set, owns, last I heard, a store of Fire and Dice. So this was not a nothing relationship. There was something there that had been built over a while that effort was put into. Now, good for the local players in New York, but this happens. We just had Misomania 2 with the Louisville players. That's not the original Louisville Playgroup store. Comic Book World was the original Louisville Playgroup store. That's where Plaid Saturday 1 and 2 were held. The first ever Create a Competitor tournament was at a venue Super Show doesn't have a relationship with anymore. So, building these relationships is hard, and things like this damaging this relationship are bad. So, the best case scenario is that Alex Kane went into business for himself and did this, which is unfortunate, but there's nothing we could do. If somebody on the SRG Universe side did this, this is a disaster. This is an absolutely awful outcome, and I hope that there's a lesson taken away from this, period, because this is not good. I know a lot of people think it's funny. On a certain level, it is funny, but for growing the game, this is not good. Because if ACCW has to go find another venue, I expect word of this will follow them. You know, who's going to want a group to come play in their store that has a history of destroying property and, you know, having people get thrown around physically? Do store owners want that type of liability? I would say no. So this was very bad. I'm not happy that it happened. I'm hoping this works out well for ACCW, but this is not good for Super Show because it's an Atlanta store. Atlanta's a big city. It's also a group that's starting to run conventions. So people from Level Up Games will be talking to other people that run conventions. And if they start telling people conventions, yeah, the Super Show CEO broke a table with one of their guests at my store, that's not good for that news to be out there. That is really disastrous for the game. So this was not good. It's an unfortunate black spot on what should be a great weekend. I'm not even happy I had to talk about this much, but it has to be talked about because it's a very, very important thing. Now, we also had some products come out this week. We had the Level Up promos, which will probably be the last Level Up promos ever. They're on sale on supershowthegame.com. I'm not sure if it's the logoed versions or not. Probably the non-logoed versions. We also had 3 competitors released on the website. Simple Chuck came out, Beef Mode came out, and Tortured Vigilante came out. Check those out. They're on supershowthegame.com right now. Speaking of products, we had a product release schedule for the month of November announced. Let me run down that list of products in no particular order. Enter my ring, step to my thunderous sledgehammer chop. Hypersonic thumb tackle, barbed wire baseball battle axe of charcuterie cheese. These are 3 cards in the 1 through 27 deck that have keywords that tie into the weapons line coming out in the Major Wrestling Edition box set. The barbed wire, the thumbtacks, and the baseball bat. We have a couple of competitors on the list. El Toro Guapo and Macho Squacho. Those are new Super Lucha competitors. I talked about the Level Up promos. Level Up Break. Leveling up at the Venture Dojo. Next level uppercut. Leveling up at the Venture Dojo is the entrance card. The other 2 are cards in the 1 through 30 deck. We're going to have a new submission finish for the Foxworthy competitor. Finish submission number 30, True Philadelphian Lock. This was shown on the last episode of Talk of the Universe, if you want to check that out. We also had 3 new cards at 4 through 6. Irish Whip, Drag to the Center, and Throw into the Corner. These cards already existed in Supershow the Game, but they're coming out with new art and new text. They also showed these on the last episode of Talk of the Universe, if you want to see what they do. The final products on the November release schedule for Supershow the Game are the prize cards I talked about previously. The new cards at 1, 2, and 3, I believe these are skill requirement versions of Snap Punch, Arm into Collar Tie-Up, and Snap Headlock. And then the 3 prizes for, I think, winning and maybe second and third. Steel Chair and Guitar Smash at King's Concert. Decollating Neckbreaker, Don't Mess with My Cheese. And also Sheepy Sheepy Baba. That's everything on the list of new cards coming out for Supershow the Game this November. Some of those have already come out. I expect we'll see more over the next few weeks. PAX Unplugged in 2 weeks. I expect we'll see products coming out at PAX Unplugged. PAX Unplugged, the next big tournament, in-person play event. I have no additional news on PAX Unplugged. Still waiting to hear more. Still waiting to hear who is going to face the prize fighter Simon Dabner for the LFF World Heavyweight Championship. All of that's still up in the air. I'll give you that when I have it. I do have news regarding the 2025 Create a Competitor competition. We have the 16 people that will be in the CCC. I am pleasantly surprised that we had 16. I was afraid the trend would continue. We would have less than we had last year. We didn't. We actually had more than 16 sign up, and they limited it to only 16. I'm going to go through the 16 in the order they were given on Talk of the Universe. Olivia Wonderland. I'm not sure who Olivia Wonderland is. My best guess, this is Split's daughter that is going to be part of the Wonderland gang. I could be wrong. That's my best guess. JAC, the Long Island legend himself, the best rapper to ever come out of Belmore, New York. Vote JAC in the 2025 Create a Competitor competition. El Gordo Americano. This is the competitor created by Dustin Smith, obviously based on El Grande Americano from WWE. Sound Tech Bridge. I believe this is Jared Bridge. This is his character from the Unionverse. Neil, the East End Enforcer Smith. I don't know who that is. The Puppet Master. I don't know who that is. Skip Hogfather Parsons. I'm not sure if this is the same Hogfather I've heard about or someone new. I don't know much about who this is. Not really sure. Sundown Moon. This is the character created by New York player Amanda Zenobia. Obsidious, I don't know. The Dude, this is Sean Steiner's character. Sean Steiner, part of the Darby World Order. I believe he's one of the Pittsburgh players, although he does play with the Rust Belt group quite a bit. Tomato Jr. I'm not sure if it's Tomato Jr. I feel like Tomato Jr. makes more sense. I don't know who that is. The Beekeeper. This is a competitor from new player Brandon Arredondo. I met him, I believe, at Gen Con. Again, relatively new player. The Spice Lord. This is from RRCW's own Brian Ogazelic. The Program. I don't know who the Program is. Dale Kessel, Postal Employee. This is from Dizzy Derail. This is a competitor based on her father. And the 16th competitor, Medusa Stone. I don't know who that is. These are the 16 competitors in the 2025 CCC. Pat Mulligan and the folks at SRG Universe are having artists create sketches for all of these competitors. Once that is done, the rounds can start. The matches can start. The first round matches are going to be fatal four-way matches, 1 vote per person to vote for one of the 4 to move on. That's all the details we have about that so far. Now, does that mean we're going from a 16 down to a 4? I doubt that. I don't expect we'll go 16 to 4 to the finals. Maybe we will. But I would not be surprised if we went from 16 to 4 and then added 4 wild cards back in and did like a tag team round. I'm expecting, based on this structure, we will have the Fatal 4-Way round, the tag team round, the meme round, and the finals. I could be wrong. But based on past CCCs, that's what I'm expecting. I have seen some people make posts or videos right now. El Gordo Americano, the Spice Lord, the Program, the Beekeeper. I expect we'll see something from JAC relatively soon. But that's where we are right now. I do not know, again, when the first matches are going to happen. With PAX Unplugged being in a couple weekends, and Thanksgiving weekend the weekend after, I don't expect the first match to happen before Thanksgiving. I expect it will happen after Thanksgiving. We'll have to see. And then I don't know how many would actually happen in December. There is an outside possibility. We don't have any matches start until January of 2026. For those who are in the contest, watch Talk of the Universe, watch the SRG Super Show discussion group on Facebook. Those are going to be the most timely releases of information. Talk of the Universe especially. I'll talk about the CCC on this show, but the show comes out once a week on Sunday night, Monday morning. It is entirely possible that a match could get announced on Wednesday for 2 days afterwards on Friday and be pretty much done by Sunday night. That is a thing. Matches can have that quick of a turnaround. So watch what's going on. That's where we are right now with the 2025 Creative Competitor Competition. Reviewing my notes before we go to the online tournaments and featured matches from this past week, there's one thing from PAX Unplugged I neglected to mention. We don't have a lot of details on it, but the Influencer is going to be running a tournament at PAX Unplugged featuring content creators who are currently not part of Super Show. And they'll be playing Super Show. Players going in blind to get an understanding, to play the game, and hopefully introduce that game to their audiences. Those are all the details I have about that right now. And then one announcement regarding the LFF Trios Championship. The next LFF Trios Championship match will be November 12th, next Wednesday, after Talk of the Universe. Jokerfish will be challenging Ron Rumble for the championship. And now onto the tournaments and featured matches from the past week. I'll start with last Sunday, the Super Lucha Sunday event. This was an all Super Lucha tournament. You had to use Super Lucha competitors, 1 through 30 Super Lucha cards, no entrances because there are no Super Lucha entrances, no spectacles. You had to use the Super Lucha crowd meter, which means you were using the Super Lucha rules. A player could not play a finish if the other player had not had a turn at that point. 11 players played in 4 bullet rounds, and then after that they cut to a top 3. 1 bye to the finals from what I understand. Third place ended up going to Bob Dunn playing as El Cerebo. The finalists were Ricky Riot playing as the Super Lucha version of Snake Pit. He was the player that got a bye to the finals. The other player who had to win their spot in the finals, playing as the Super Lucha version of El Super Hombre, was Brian Waitfort Schmidt, the winner of the Sunday Super Lucha event in the ongoing rivalry between Snake Pit and El Super Hombre. El Super Hombre, Brian Waitfort Schmidt. Congratulations to Brian Waitfort Schmidt for winning the special Sunday night event. Monday, we had Monday night fights. Underworld Division event. World Division competitors booked. All other singles competitors legal, subject to 2020 vision. 8 players playing in 4 bullet rounds. After the 4 bullet rounds, they cut to a top 3. Again, 1 bye into the finals. The other 2 played to make the finals. Third place, playing as El Hombre Cybernetico himself. The finalists, Zach Ashley, playing as just Zach, and Colby Cram, playing as the original version of Random Guy. He was the player who received a bye into the finals, and he wins the finals. Congratulations to Colby Cram for winning Monday Night Fights. We also, Monday night, at Rip and Ship Arena in Long Island, New York, had a match for a future shot at the LFF United States Championship. The players in that match were Sam Stanton, playing as Warehouse, and the New York Phenom, playing as the New York Phenom. The match ends up going, from what I understand, to crowd meter 3. It was a bit hard for me to tell on stream, but the winner getting a future shot at the LFF United States Championship, Sam Stanton. Congratulations to Sam Stanton for earning that shot at the championship. Thursday, we had Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. Also an Underworld Division event. Also 8 players. 3 bullet rounds here, and then afterwards they cut to a top 4. In the semifinal round of the top cut, all of the matches were Beast Unchained matches. In the finals match and in the third place match, they used the submission stipulation. Your top 4 end up being in 4th place, playing as the original version of Flyboy, Bob Dunn. In 3rd place, playing as Mr. Hyde, TVA Commissioner Drew Madsen. In 2nd place, playing as Firestarter, Super Lucha competitor Yasmin, and the winner, playing once again as Random Guy, Colby Cram. Congratulations to Colby Cram, winning Monday and Thursday night fights this week. There had been a post about doing an HR appreciation event for HR Saturday. Unfortunately, there was not enough interest to get that event to launch. That event did not happen Saturday. Sunday, we have Sunday night fights. 2 matches on the card for Sunday night fights. The opening match for the LFF Global Championship. The challenger, Ricky Riot, playing as Shane Hurricane Helms. The champion, Harvey Luster, champion with the original version of EC3. Standard singles match. ends up going to crowd meter 2. The winner and still champion, Harvey Luster. Congratulations to Harvey Luster for a successful defense. The first and only global champion to defend outside of former champion General Lee Wong. No one besides General Lee Wong and now Harvey Luster has successfully defended the LFF Global Championship. Slight bit of controversy because the champion was using DQ cards, where if the challenger had stopped one of those cards, he would have won the match but not become champion. Will we see the champion continuing to use DQ cards going forward? We might. Will this be an issue? It depends. We're still early in the tenure of new general manager, General Lee Wong. And when he was the global champion, he frequently used disqualification cards when he was defending the championship. Will he, as they say, keep that same energy as general manager that he did as champion? We'll have to see. But that was the first match. The final match on the match card was supposed to be a defense of the LFF Triad Championship. Challengers Johnny Eldorado and Alexander Slamilton were supposed to take on champion Brian Cage. Brian Cage was not able to be there for Sunday night fights. And so instead we had a triad match to crown an interim champion. Johnny Eldorado, playing as Johnny Eldorado, was one of the 3 men there. Alexander Slamilton, for some reason, also couldn't make it. So, in his place, we had the Screaming Dancy playing as hardcore Alexander Slamilton. And then, the third man in the match, who was playing as King Brian Cage, El Hombre Cybernetico. So, El Hombre Cybernetico and Johnny Eldorado, 2 halves of the boss's favorite tag team, Dirty Jers, taking on Screaming Dancy, where the winner becomes the interim LFF Triad Champion. This ends up going to crowd meter 3. Johnny Eldorado gets an early head of steam, able to play cards to give himself multiple turn rolls of 11 or greater. El Hombre Cybernetico, slow start, does build his way back, also able to boost a skill. In the end, the multiple skill boosts work out for Johnny Eldorado, and at crowd meter 3, he captures the interim LFF Triad Championship. As a result of this match, the SRG boss, Steve Resk, has decided to create is probably the better way to say it, but to create 3 cards with art featuring each of the gentlemen in this match. So Screaming Dancy will be able to create card art for a card, Johnny Eldorado will be able to create card art for a card, and El Hombre Cybernetico will be able to create card art for a card that will come out at some point in the future. As for the LFF Triad Championship, the non-interim version, they're supposed to be at midnight Monday, so as Sunday is ending, Monday is starting Eastern Time, a match where Brian Cage is going to defend the LFF Triad Championship on stream. Unfortunately, I will not get those results for this show. I'll have to put them on next week's show. It's just too late right now. I'm going to have to get the show published before that match happens. I will report the results of that match, assuming it happens, on next week's show. As far as what's coming up for next week, we should have Monday night fights normally and Thursday night fights normally. We should have Talk of the Universe on Wednesday. Maybe we'll have Expanding the Universe on Thursday, not sure. We will not have the Dojo Tuesday night. I don't know if we're going to have any big picture premium shows like Stacked Card. I'm pretty sure we're not having Candy Shop Talk. As always, if you're interested in what events or shows might happen, watch supershowthegame.com, watch the SRG Super Show discussion group on Facebook. One last thing. Some more news came out regarding the Creator Tournament that's going to be happening at PAX Unplugged, hosted by The Influencer. That tournament is going to happen 9:30 p.m. Friday, November 21st in the Open Gaming Hall of PAX Unplugged. We also have the first creator announced for the tournament. Radio Free Will be one of the creators in the tournament. I was not able to find out a lot in short notice about Radio Free Will. It looks like he's a streamer, but I could not find where he streams, if he's a Twitch streamer, a YouTube streamer, or some other platform. But we have one streamer, Radio Free Will, confirmed for the Influencers Tournament at PAX Unplugged. I assume over the next couple of weeks, we'll learn more about who is going to be in the tournament. With that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.